Hey folks, welcome back to Actually I Can. This is the podcast where we talk about changing the rules. Right now we are in the almost middle of a 12-week series, and this is all about changing the rules. This is called the Women's Playbook. So if you're new here, this is a series where we take the old patriarchal rules of business, the ones that were never really designed for us in the first place, and we rip them up. Then we're going to write new rules that actually fit the kind of lives and businesses women are building right now. So far in this series, we've tackled the grind or die rule, the play small rule, and the don't talk about money rule. Each one of these has had something in common. They ask us to disconnect from ourselves altogether, to overwork, to shrink back, and stay silent. And today's rule is no different. It's the keep it impersonal rule. And actually, this is my favorite one to rewrite. So I know you've heard this one before. Keep it professional. Don't get too close. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Don't share too much. Basically, the message is leave your humanity at the door, and that's the only way to do business. And for a long time, I thought that's what professionalism meant. I thought that being a good business owner meant putting on a mask, staying polished, and never letting people see any of the cracks. But when I really started building my own businesses, I realized something, that the opposite was true for me. The more human I was, the stronger my businesses became. The humanity wasn't something to hide. It was actually my superpower. It's all of our superpowers. So today I'm going to tell you how I learned to do this a little bit differently, why this old rule doesn't actually work for women, and what it looks like to rewrite it so that your humanity becomes the foundation of your leadership, not something to be sanded down or watered down. Welcome back, friends. This is Actually I Can. I'm Katie Ripp, and this is Season 2. Last season, we talked about everything and to everyone, about all the ways we're trying to build life and business on our own terms. This season, we're diving a little bit deeper into the Women's Playbook. We're talking about those old rules we were handed. We're going to toss them out and write new ones that actually work for us. We're talking about quitting the grind, claiming our worth, celebrating wins that actually matter, and leaning into community instead of competition. Around here, we believe that the best businesses, and lives for that matter, aren't built alone. So grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and let's go. So again, if you're new here, I have opened 3 brick-and-mortar businesses over the last 5 years. And when we opened the wine bar, I had a gut feeling that I didn't want to run it like a traditional boss. This was my first experience with staff. I didn't want to be the kind of leader or the kind of boss who kept everyone at arm's length. I wanted to actually know my staff and create a culture that if somebody called you to help move on a Saturday, they would be there. Coworkers are really what build small businesses. So I started really small, which is odd for me, but I started by asking them just simple questions. What made them feel appreciated? Which, yes, simple question, but when's the last time you were asked that at a new job interview? How did they like to be recognized? Because spoiler alert, not everyone feels rewarded by money. Giving somebody a quarter, 50 cent, $1, $2 raise is not necessarily everybody's love language. And that kind of appreciation, yes, it's the most simple way to show somebody that they're appreciated, but it doesn't necessarily translate for everybody. Some people light up when you give them flexibility, or maybe you give them an extra PTO day, or maybe you give them something tangible. Some thrive when they're recognized publicly. So sometimes I used to give shout outs on social media for those who felt like shout outs were the way to be recognized and rewarded. Some just wanted to be seen and heard, so that meant open door policies, which were actually like, please come and talk to me and have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and let's chat about what's going on in your life and how we can help in this job. And these were part-time jobs. These were women that were coming in maybe to get out of bedtime, putting their kids to bed, maybe to just have a little bit of social interaction with some adults for those of them that were at home during the day. I also had them take the Strengths Finder test so I could put them in the right roles. And if something didn't seem to be working, I didn't just write them off and say, well, you're not a good fit. This is the job description. I moved them around until we found a better fit or something that really rewarded them or something that they really loved to do. And shocker, Someone likes every job that you have out there. For instance, maybe you have someone that works for you that loves to plan events. Well, we have an event coordinator position. We have somebody that loves to do that, and I put her in that spot. But she doesn't love ordering wine, or she didn't like ordering every single week. So I just found somebody else on staff that loved to be super detailed in a spreadsheet and ordered every week. And we celebrated everything. Baby showers, wedding showers, you name it. I gave them shout outs on social media, not because it was good PR, but because I wanted them to feel proud of the way they work and what they were doing. And when we bought the coffee shop a couple years later, I carried that same philosophy over. I wanted it to feel more than a job. I wanted it to feel like a community. And in this particular situation, I was hiring high schoolers, and everybody remembers their first job. So I really took this to heart. This is one of my favorite stories. So one day on a Saturday afternoon, two of my high school baristas, this was shortly after we opened. So I didn't know these people super well, but I did know high school girls. So two of the high school baristas spilled cold brew coffee grounds all over their white sneakers. Now, if you've ever worked with cold brew or you've worked in a coffee shop, you know that the grounds are basically like tar. It stains everything and it's hard to get out of anything. They were totally mortified. I could have told them to just deal with it, and I could have probably reprimanded them for losing an entire pitcher of 2-day steeped cold brew, but instead I bought them new Nikes. Not because I had to, of course I didn't have to, but because I wanted them to know that they mattered. That one small act said more than a bonus or any kind of small raise ever could, and it didn't cost me that much money. And years later, I bet they still remember that. Here's another thing. I don't pretend to be perfect with my staff. I tell them when I mess up, because I do, a lot. I tell them when I'm sick, because I don't want them thinking I'm superhuman and pushing through. Because remember, we don't work sick, period, especially around food. And when they see me honoring that, it gives them permission to do the same. I tell them when I'm having a rough day or a rough week. I don't sugarcoat it, because pretending to be perfect just builds walls, and being real builds connection. Now, will this openness backfire someday? Maybe. Will someone take advantage of it? Probably. But when I weigh the risks against what I've gained, the choice is completely obvious to me. Because the front row seat I've had to the lives of the people who make my business what they are, that is priceless. I have been at weddings, at funerals, at baby showers and wedding showers and birthday parties and kids' graduations and my own staff's graduations. I have been invited to places that most bosses don't get invited, and I feel really proud of that. Do I always get it right? Absolutely not. Do I sometimes let my ego take the wheel and make decisions because I'm the boss? Yes, absolutely I do. But overall, I'm proud of how I've taken this old rule, keep it impersonal, and do it a different way. And I can tell you, my businesses are better for it. My relationships are richer for it, and I'm better for it too. Okay, so how this rule... Welcome to The Grove. This is where women like us grow together. This is not just another Facebook group or course you'll never finish. The Grove is a business and life community for women who are done trying to do it alone. Inside The Grove, you're going to find weekly Female Founders Collective meetups, which are always free, study hall co-working sessions to actually get those things done, money monthly meetings and workshops with guest experts, and a private community that feels like a built-in support squad. This is where strategy meets soul, where you can talk about invoices and imposter syndrome in the same breath, where you'll be seen and heard and cheered on every step of the way. If you've been waiting for a sign to plug into a community that actually gets it, this is it. Join The Grove today and start building your business and your life in alignment. Those up. The keep it impersonal rule sneaks into our businesses in so many subtle ways that you might not even realize it. So sometimes it might look like writing stiff or corporate sounding copy because you think it makes it sound professional, using jargon instead of your real voice. hiding the personal stories. So in my case, sobriety, motherhood, or burnout, or health struggles. Those are my stories that I've been willing to share because I think it creates connection. Now, not everybody is that vulnerable, and I get that. You can do it on so many different levels. Just a little bit of a peek into somebody else's life makes your story, just a little peek makes it so much more personal. Hiding the personal stories. So for instance, in my life, sobriety or motherhood or burnout or health struggles or any kind of business struggle I have, because you think they'll make you look weak when really the opposite is true. Saying everything's fine when you're actually drowning. Holding back your humor or quirks because you think you won't be taken seriously when really the people that really want to support you and find you and help your business are the people that are actually going to relate to all those quirks. So from the outside, it looks polished, but underneath, it's totally exhausting living that life. It creates distance, and it makes your business feel like a performance instead of a relationship. And businesses are built on people. It doesn't matter what you're selling. People make businesses. People buy things and services. So how do we dismantle this rule? So here's the truth. Keeping it impersonal does not build trust. It actually builds walls. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with humanity. They don't hire robots. They don't buy from flawless corporate machines. They buy from people, especially small businesses. And you know what? Perfection doesn't inspire trust. In fact, it often does the opposite. When somebody looks too perfect or too polished or too put together, we assume they can't possibly understand our struggles. Think of any Instagram influencer that you follow that is like set up perfectly every single time. Do you really trust that they're that perfect all the time? But when somebody shares the messy middle, we totally lean in. We feel seen, we feel safe, and we trust them. So the keep it impersonal rule isn't just unnecessary. It's actually quite counterproductive. Humanity is what makes your business magnetic. It's what makes people stay. So here's the new rule. Your humanity is your superpower. So again, for the people in the back, your humanity is your superpower. Your authenticity isn't a liability. It's the very thing that makes you stand out. Here's what it looks like in practice. Number 1, sharing your story, even the messy parts, in a way that invites connection. There's a few ways you can do this. Maybe you send an email newsletter. There could be a snippet of behind the scenes, and you could do some sort of little kitschy phrase. Or writing and speaking in your real voice, not some corporate version of it. Or now we use AI for a lot, and I'm a total AI junkie. I love it, but I have trained my ChatGPT. Her name is Eden, by the way. I have trained her basically to talk only in my voice and repeat to me basically what I'm saying, just cleaned up. Number 3, admitting when you don't know something and being open to learning. I have baristas at my coffee shop. I have general managers. I have people that are around me that know more than I do. And I like it that way. I don't know everything. I'm very, very open about not knowing everything about business. I do have a lot of resources, though. I do make connections, and I do allow people to actually tell me when I'm doing something wrong and maybe fix it. Does my ego get in the way sometimes? Yes, it does. But I usually come around and like, that is actually a good idea. Let's try it and see if we can figure out a way to make this work for everybody. Number 4, bringing your quirks, your humor, and your personality into your work. I swear. I'm a swearer. I like to say fuck. It's my favorite word. I say it all the time. I say it in front of my kids, my parents. If I still had grandparents, I would probably say it in front of them. Listen, that's just who I am. If you don't like it, I totally get it. That's totally fine with me. That's just how I talk. It's who I am. It doesn't mean anything about me. Certainly there are judgments out there, but I like to swear. So if you can't handle that, you're not my people. And that's totally fine. I'm not changing, and you don't have to change to be around me. But it is what makes me me, and I am not willing to give that up. And number 5, letting people see the human behind the business. This happens to me quite a bit. And again, when we're talking about people seeing it, maybe it's an email newsletter, but maybe it's your stories in your Instagram. You keep your grid real pretty, but in the stories in your Instagram could be something like me, where a few years ago, I dropped an entire box of Nerds, not the little box, like a commercial box of Nerds all over the ice cream shop floor. Everywhere. It looked like Nerds threw up. It was all over the place. I posted that and people were like, oh my God, I have done that before. Or who hasn't dropped an entire bag of flour or something in their business? It makes us relatable. It makes us relatable. Because again, people don't stay loyal because you're perfect. They stay loyal because you're real and you're you and they connect to you. So my challenge for you this week is pretty simple. Let your humanity show. That could mean posting something personal on social media instead of just polished content. Again, put this in your stories. That's a really great place to show some of the behind the scenes, and you can keep your grid real polished. Or put it in a newsletter. Tell a story. It doesn't have to be something that you've made a mistake about. It could be something like White Dove Design just shared a story about making a doormat with her grandma and her mom and her sister. So there are options. It could also mean telling your staff when you're having a really tough week. Sometimes we just get burned out. We get stressed out. Maybe your tax bill just went up and they have no idea why we're nervous about the sales or we're nervous about money. That might be too personal for you, but I will tell you, I have told my staff, listen, hey, we TV time out on a couple of things because we had to pay for new floors this week. So for a couple of months, I need you guys to really buckle down on the Amazon orders. Or can we see if we can cut back on milk for a little bit? Or can we cut this? Or can we try to sell more of this? But giving them a little bit of context or a little bit of information around that does make it a little bit more easy to digest rather than, oh, they just want to make more money. So now I have to find all these ways to save money. That's not exactly what we're talking about here, but it could be assumed that way. Whatever it looks like for you, pick one small way to make it personal this week. Then notice what happens. Chances are people will lean in closer, not pull away. That is the keep it impersonal rule. And again, your humanity is your superpower. This impersonal rule has kept women hidden behind masks for way too long. It's drained our energy and disconnected us from the very people we're trying to serve. So the new rule, your humanity is your superpower. If this resonated, I would love for you to go and read the full blog post. It's linked in the show notes. And if you know someone who's sanding down their edges to look more quote unquote professional, share this episode with them. They might need the reminder that real beats perfect every single time. And don't forget, you can join my email list to get each new rule delivered straight to your inbox, along with behind the scenes updates as I turn this series into a book. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week when we tackle the old rule, the competition rule, and why building a better sisterhood beats rivalry every single time. That's it for today's episode of #ActuallyICan. If something in this conversation hit home today, send it to a friend who's writing her own playbook too. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. And if you want a community where these conversations turn into actual support, come hang out with us in the Grove. The link's in the show notes. Until next time, keep rewriting those rules, keep celebrating your wins, and keep reminding yourself, actually, you can.